Hey guys, I am finally home from Waco. I am back in Argyle and I am ready to read chapter 3 in Further Adventures of Hank the Cowdog Stricken with Eye Crosserosis. I slept until late morning, maybe 10 o'clock or so. What woke me up was Drover's wheezing. He wheezes in his sleep, don't you see, and makes a very peculiar sound. Sometimes I can sleep through it and sometimes I can't. As a general rule, I'm a light sleeper. That's one of my prices you pay for having a sensitive ears. You hear every sound in the night, including some you'd rather not hear. Don't know what causes Drover's problem. He claims he's allergic to certain weeds. Maybe so. He's also allergic to hard work and danger in any form. Anyhow, there's definitely something wrong with his nose. And speaking of noses, mine was in poor shape after the tussle with Pete the barn cat and the wire fence. The black leathery part was all scraped up. By crossing my eyes like this, you can see the little pieces sticking up on the end, and I couldn't put them down. They were just rolled up. I studied the damage for a long time. Kind of made me sad to see my old nose banged up like that. It's a well-known fact that a cowdog tends to be a little vain about his nose. On one hand, it's a very delicate piece of equipment, but on the other hand, it's an object of beauty. Entire books have been written about the natural beauty of a cowdog's nose, or if they haven't been written, they ought to be. I bet they'd sell 1,000,000 copies. Maybe somebody would pay tubs of money to have those books written. They usually tell that my Uncle Beanie packed his nose in mud every night. He lived it to be a ripe old age, and right up to the last, the women were just nuts about him. He said it was his nose, said the mud treatment kept it soft and pretty. Anyway, I sat there looking at my nose and listening to Drover wheeze and had my eyes crossed for a long time, and you know what? They got hung like that. My eyes, I mean. I couldn't get them uncrossed. I'm a serious believer that if you keep your eyes crossed, you will come down with a condition called eye crosserosis. Kind of threw a scare into me. I shook my head and tossed it up and down. It didn't help. My eyes stayed crossed. I hit the side of my head with my left paw, and they didn't help. So I scratched it with my left hind leg. Nothing. I was getting a little concerned by this time because my eyes being crossed threw everything out of focus, don't you see? Which sort of left the ranch defenseless. And here is poor Hank with his eyes crossed. Oh, poor Hank. Ma used to tell me not to cross my eyes when we were pups. Said they might get stuck like that. I never believed her, but she was right. Well, I finally decided I'd better sound the alarm. Drover, wake up! We're in a world of trouble. He wheezed and snored, didn't wake up. Drover, get up! This is no time to sleep. We could be in a brink of disaster. His head came up and he opened his eyes. Beulah? Beulah? He blinked a couple of times. You're not Beulah. I'm certainly not. And what do you mean dreaming about my woman? You got no right. Look at me, Drover, and tell me what you see. He studied me for a long time. He squinted one eye and then the other eye and looked me up one side and down the other. Well, what do you see? Go ahead, say it. Just spit it out. Oh, a dog. Look deeper. Details, Drover. He looked deeper. Oh, a cow dog. The face, Drover. Study the face. He cocked his head. Oh, yeah, I see it now. Oh, Hank, it looks terrible. I was afraid of that. It's pretty obvious, huh? Sure is. Do you think I look disfigured? I mean, I don't want to go around looking like a loon or a freak or something. I'd say you kind of look disfigured, Hank. That was discouraging news. I tried to walk around and I ran into the legs of a gas tank. The worst part of it is that I messed up my vision. I can't see worth a rip. Huh, that's really strange, Hank. I wouldn't have thought of that. Oh, it's not so strange when you think about it. What do you reckon I ought to do to cure it? Beats me. Maybe you should pack it in mud. That would help. When a guy can't see, he'll try almost anything. I followed Drover down to the sewer and helped me onto the edge of the water. I dug balls of mud with my paws and plastered them over both eyes. Then I laid down to let the healing set in. I must have laid there for half an hour. What do you think now, Drover? Have we waited long enough? Well, it still looks the same to me. Maybe you better go another hour. Maybe so. About 15 minutes later, I began to think about what he said. Wait a minute. What do you mean it still looks the same? I heard him snore and wheeze. Drover, wake up. What do you mean it still looks the same to you? Huh? What? What do I mean? Well, I guess it means I don't think it looks any different. What are you talking about? Your nose? It looks beat up and scabby to me. My nose? I wasn't talking about my nose, you little dunce. Oh, how could a scabby nose have anything to do with my vision? I kind of wondered about that. I scraped off the mud and opened my eyes and saw two drovers staring at me. It didn't help. I'm still afflicted. Hey, your eyes are crossed. Very good, Drover. It only took you, 45 minutes to pick that up? More like an hour. That's just great. I tried to think through the problem one step at a time. Well, this is a fine mess. What am I going to do now? Well, if your eyes are crossed, maybe you could just uncross them. What a wonderful idea, Drover. Yeah, it just came to me in a flash. I bet that was quite a flash. It was pretty good. Well, here's another flash. I already thought about that. You did? And I tried. You did? And it didn't work. Oh. So, do you have any other flashes? I mean, when your eyes are out of commission, this ranch is in a real danger. If the coyotes ever got wind of this, we'd be almost helpless. Well, my eyes are pretty good. Maybe we could use my eyes in your judgment. How does that sound? I thought about that for a long time. I didn't want to rush into anything. Making cold, hard decisions is a very important part of being head of ranch security. A guy just doesn't leap to those kind of decisions. Maybe so. It may be our best bet. But remember, you're still working for me. Okay. You furnish the eyes and I'll furnish the brains. And I stopped in the middle of the sentence. My left ear shot up. A pickup had just pulled into the mailbox and was coming to headquarters. My reaction was completely automatic. I set up a bark and moved toward the sound and ran into Loper's roping dummy. Who is it, Drover? Where are they? Point me toward them. This could be serious stuff. Bark for Pete's sake. Sound the alarm. He let out his usual yip, 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 which wouldn't have scared a fly, but I guess it was the best lick he could do. Okay, Hanky, follow me. Here we go. Made me mighty uneasy following Drover, but I didn't have much choice. We went tearing down the hill, me barking and Drover yipping. I kept right on his tail. I could see that much, even though it was double vision and out of focus. All at once, he came to a halt. I got myself shut down just in time, almost plowed him under. I mean, you get that much bulk and muscle in high gear and you just don't stop on a dime. Drover was spinning in circles and acting awfully strange. Oh, can't go on. I never know what to say. You're not supposed to say anything, son. Just bark until we can check him out and give him the clearance. But Hank, can you see who it is? I squinted and tried to focus on the pickup. About all I could see was that it was green. No, who is it? It's Beulah. My goodness, just a mention of her name made me weak and trembly in the legs. Had to sit down and rest a minute. And Hank, there's somebody with her. Don't tell me, let me guess, a spotted bird dog, long skinny tail, kind of a goofy expression on his face? Well, maybe so. It's Plato. She's been sweet on him for a long time, and I've been waiting for a chance to clean house of him. What are you gonna do? Stand behind me and stand by for further orders. We could get ourselves into a little skirmish here. I marched out into the lead and headed toward the pickup. Hank! Later, son, I've got violence on my mind. But Hank! I was too deep in concentration to be bothered with his yap. I marched up to the pickup and displayed my hardware. In security business, that's our way of saying that I showed him my teeth. Teeth being hardware, don't you see? I displayed my hardware. So fate brings us together at last, Plato. I thought you had better sense. Hank! I thought you had better sense than to walk into my territory, Plato. But it's pretty obvious that I overestimated your intelligence. Hank! Shut up, Drover. But seeing as how you're foolish enough to come onto my ranch, I'm calling you out. Come on, let's have a little violence and bloodshed. Well, that must have thrown a terrible scare into him. I mean, he didn't move a muscle or make a sound, not even a squeak. What's the matter, Plato? Did you lose your voice all of a sudden? It's kind of embarrassing to get exposed in front of your girlfriend, ain't it? Hank! I turned to the little noisemaker. What? You got the wrong pickup, Hank. Huh? They're down at the corral. I moved closer to sniff the tires and check out the signs. Give it a thorough going over. This is the wrong pickup, Drover, and since you're in charge of my eyes, I'll have to hold you responsible. I'm afraid this will go onto your record. But Hank, Drover, there's only two kinds of pickups in this world, the right ones and the wrong ones. This is the wrong one. Study it carefully and memorize the signs. Next time, I'll expect better information. But Hank, you think you can find the right pickup now? I guess so. All right, let's move out. You can go first, take the scout position, but don't forget who's running the show. Okay, Hank, follow me. And with that, we marched down to the corral to attend the funeral of a certain spotted bird dog. Tomorrow we'll read Surprised, or you might be even shocked. See you tomorrow.